Hi there, my name is Matthew Krajewski, author of Modern Magic, Reclaiming Your Magical Heritage, and also soon to be published, The Golden Sherpa, Ascending into Magical Spirituality. You can learn more by going to www.magicalheritage.com. So I want to take some time and talk a little bit about who I am. Who is Matthew Krajewski? I've read a lot of books on spirituality, and as part of why I chose to write my own book, my first book, Modern Magic. But within that, I also realized that many spiritual writers have a advantage at the outset is that they've been practicing a specific spiritual practice or are experts in their field, their topic that they're actually exploring. I myself chose to write this book because I was not finding any voices like my own. Someone that was on a spiritual path, seeking, looking at lots of different traditions, practices, ancient mysticism, new science, and I was coming into my own spiritually and wanted that voice that would help me and kind of show me no one really has all the answers, but here are the tools that you can use to find out more about yourself, and here's a wide plethora of knowledge and research to help ground you. That's really what I wanted, and that's why I wrote my first book, was to give that type of book available to spiritual seekers that, like myself, may be younger, may be exposed to lots of diverse spiritual traditions and practices, and has always been drawn to something more, is always seeking, is always trying to connect the dots between all these different spiritual practices, and try to figure out a language of how do I express all this? How do I express that this is what I believe, my spiritual path, and, you know what I mean, just define it a little bit. And that's what I've done with Modern Magic, Reclaiming Your Magical Heritage. First and foremost, I'm an artist and a writer. And I've been writing consistently since 2005. Lots of unpublished manuscripts on the shelf, but they were always fiction. For a long time, I thought that fiction was my calling as a writer. I worked in Silicon Valley for 7 years, and at the top of my career in product management, I realized that I was being summoned to do something else, and it was time for the next phase. And that's part of what got me into writing about spirituality. Also because at the time I was going through a spiritual awakening and struggling to find answers, and basically out of that, this book was born. You know, it's write the book that you would want to read. And this is that book for people that are seeking, that are open-minded, that believe that there's a lot out there that we don't understand, but there's clues, both from ancient mystic thought as well as from recent scientific findings. There's a lot to piece together in my research as a voracious reader that I always have been. I turned my reading attention toward that, and as I was reading all these diverse texts from historical accounts to archaeology to spirituality to self-help books, there was little pieces here and there that I was putting together, and I was like, you know, there's something new here. There's something that's not being said, something that ties all of these spiritual practices together and can be understood as something that's very accessible and very simple. So that's how Modern Magic was born, and that's a little bit more about myself and, you know, why I wrote the book, and also so you can get a chance to know me a little bit before you read the book. I also should state at the outset that I do have a very active spiritual life. I consider myself a shaman, and within that, identify with lots of other labels. But I think that's part of the reason of why I wrote Modern Magic, is because just one title, one label like shaman was not expressive enough of what I was actually experiencing and going through on a spiritual level. So I wanted to expand that to be larger and perhaps be more accessible for others that are on a similar spiritual path. So, I'm Matthew Krajewski. That's a little bit more about me. And you can learn more about my books by going to magicalheritage.com. Thank you.